Hello and welcome to this brief introduction to the fourth call, which we launched on the 4th of March. My name is Frank Schneider and I'm Head of Communication and Public Policy. In this tutorial, I will introduce you to the story of our call. Why is it experimental? How is it different from others? And what do you have to do to write a good application? Let's start with a few slides on why are we doing this. With this call, we are aiming for higher sustainability and impacts of transnational cooperation achievements. We all believe that cooperation is central for various reasons. It helps regions to offer better services for businesses and citizens, or it helps improve policy making in regions and cities. But outputs and results sometimes end up in the drawer and do not grow into something bigger as we want them to. We want to change this in cooperation with you in our new call. We want to reinforce the network for a better Central Europe, a network that has been created by our projects so far in the past calls already. However, due to limited resources, we had to focus our call thematically. The program already supports 129 cooperation projects and nearly all funds are allocated. We had to introduce a thematic focus on topics which reflect the challenges of high relevance for the Central Europe area, which represent a critical mass of outputs results with high potential for exploitation, and which show good potential to coordinate with projects from other EU programs. Now you know what we want to achieve in which topics, so let's take a closer look at the focus of the call as such. We want you to exploit promising outputs and results first of all. We have defined in our application manual exploitation as such. Exploitation is any action that makes use of promising outputs and results already achieved by previously funded projects in the concerned Central European regions. We believe that exploitation goes beyond the mere duplication of existing outputs and results. They shall be further developed and tailored to the needs of the regions and target groups. So what does it mean, exploitation? Basically, one option is to upstream results and outputs for better policy making. There is a better definition of this in the application manual. Here you will find that we define upstreaming as the taking up of existing outputs and results and the tailoring of these outputs and results in a way that they can be integrated into relevant territorial or thematic policies and strategies. But results and outputs can also be downstreamed for broader impacts in our area. In our application manual, we define this the following way. Existing outputs and results are tailored in a way that they can be further rolled out at the national, regional, or local level. Such rollout could happen geographically to utilize adapted outputs and results in other regions, or it could happen thematically to utilize these in other sectors than initially foreseen. The main aim of downstreaming is to give regions in Central Europe easier access to transnational outputs and results of our existing projects. Second of all, we want you to burst the Interreg bubble and coordinate forces. In the application manual, you will find that coordination is about joining forces and mobilizing a critical mass that can effectively influence policies or better roll out results at the regional and local levels. New projects have to combine knowledge to increase outreach, visibility, and political attention, as well as to improve existing networks. You will have to create synergies and add value beyond what was already achieved in a new partnership. We expect Interreg partners to join forces with other EU-funded projects. What does that mean? Well, beyond our own project partners, partnerships should take on board institutions from projects that develop European excellence, which is often not easily accessible in regions and for their stakeholders. We therefore expect that Interreg project partners team up and join forces with project partners from EU programs that are directly managed, including Horizon 2020, the LIFE program, or the Connecting Europe facility, and many others. Time has started ticking on the 4th of March, as I mentioned before, and we will close our call very soon on the 5th of July already. So let's take a closer look at what is in the call and how a good application can be written. Let me start by presenting you 3 key numbers. First of all, as you have heard already, The call is restricted to 7 selected topics that will be funded. The project duration will be limited to 24 months, which is shorter than the usual projects we are funding. And the indicative budget of the call is 10 million euros only. From these figures, it becomes clear that this call is a limited experiment and pilot. We are not able to fund many projects and want to ensure that we will fund projects that indeed capitalize outputs and results through coordination. We therefore introduced minimum requirements. Here you see the minimum requirements for project proposals. They affect the thematic focus, as you've heard. You have to coordinate between Interact Central Europe projects and at least one thematically relevant project funded by a directly managed EU program. There are certain minimum requirements for the partnership as such, and multiple participation is limited this time. I will not go into further detail, but strongly recommend reading into these minimum requirements and other project features as they were defined by us before you start developing a project and set up a partnership. You will find all this information in the application manual. On this slide, you can see what we understand as exploitation and coordination in practice. New projects in the fourth call should take up results and outputs from more than one Interact Central Europe project and from a directly managed project, for example from Horizon or the LIFE program. Then in this project, you should work together and coordinate in order to increase the impact of these results and outputs from the existing projects in order to achieve better policies or to reach out to new regions and new target groups. Without further going too much into detail about the approach and logic behind building a project, let me say that new projects should close the gap between existing outputs and results and the needs of policymakers or the needs of target groups and end users. We will of course further support you to develop a good application. Online, you will find a series of frequently asked questions on our website. Here, there's also the program community where you can publish project ideas and find partners. And in our LinkedIn group for Partner Search, you can do the same. We will develop further webinars and tutorials in order to support you in writing a good application and answering your questions on content development and finance development. In addition to that, there is a series of National Information Days coming up in March and April. You will find the dates actually on our website. We are also going to organize a transnational workshop on the 7 topics in Vienna on the 2nd and 3rd of April. Here you will learn a lot about the outputs and results that are promising, that our projects are working on. So basically this is a good starting point for all current projects to come together and exchange on potential ideas for the fourth call. Once initial ideas are on the table, we are going to meet on the 7th of May in Brussels and invite you all to come to a Horizon 2020 Matchmaking and Info Day in order to find partners from Horizon 2020. Last but not least, we are also offering personal advice, which is why we have introduced a compulsory consultation with the JS. More information on that you will find again in the application manual and on the website. Let's have a look at the components of the application package. There's the call announcement, which provides the legal basis of the call and a comprehensive overview. Then we also have the application manual there with detailed instructions and guidance. In the 5 annexes, you will find valuable information on finances and content. Especially Annex 1 is worth a read because there you will find the thematic framework for applying in a certain topic. Part of the application package is also the application form. You will find an offline template for your information only. Please do not forget that the submission of applications is only possible in the electronic monitoring system EMS. This was it for the tutorial today. Let's create new success stories together to show people how cooperation is central for Central Europe. Good luck with your application.